Hello, good morning or good afternoon to all of you. I must first, I think, start off by apologizing for not being there in person. Unfortunately, I couldn't, but I would look forward to joining you and partners in Ethiopia, hopefully as sometime in the very near future. So I really do hope to get an opportunity to meet you all. So this is just a quick short message that I wanted to give, and that Sam and his team asked me to provide. And I think that's a little bit on what's been happening here, not just in terms of headquarters, but on the whole kind of global WASH program, if you like. So I'll just mention a little bit about what we've been doing, where we are now, or where I think we've got to, kind of in the grand scheme of things, and then perhaps a little bit about the challenges and the ways of moving forwards. So first thing about what we've been doing is the main thing has been trying to maintain UNICEF's global leadership on WASH, and we are the big international agency, particularly when it comes to the focus on children and particularly the rural poor, but of course we do a lot of urban programming as well. And I think we have been able to successfully demonstrate that we are the lead agency, that we lead the critical partnerships, and we leverage the political momentum on water, sanitation and hygiene issues. And I'll give you a few examples of that a little bit later. I think also internally we have been driving the agenda for WASH within the whole context of UNICEF's programming, and making the case as to why water, sanitation and hygiene is integral to the work that UNICEF does. And I think I'll mention our strategic plan a little bit later, but as you're probably aware, WASH is now a headline result in our strategic plan, and that's a significant achievement, but it's also a huge responsibility to deliver on. So in terms of where we are now, I think that's probably the best point of departure. We have a strategic plan, a UNICEF strategic plan, to which UNICEF is accountable to deliver, and WASH being a key results area within which we have a number of targets and indicators. It's not a huge shift. It reflects in some ways the shifts that we have been making over the last few years. But it is a big shift in terms of if you like, the importance of WASH in delivering on the overall UNICEF goals. And its integral position is also reflected in the kind of programming we do. So we will continue to have an emphasis on eliminating open defecation, but we will also have an emphasis on sustaining services, particularly on water supplies in terms of the service part of that, and making sure that as we increase the numbers of people with access, as we and others have been doing, that the whole issue of maintaining that access at that level or improving on it is addressed in a sensible manner. And then of course the same thing applies to behavior change and changes in behavior such as eliminating open defecation and hand washing, that it is we need to think through programmatic responses to how that is sustained over the long term. And I know many of you are already doing a lot of that in terms of the post-triggering support for cats and the monitoring that goes on. So the strategic plan is very important, because that is what drives the kind of global WASH program. We also have the Deputy Secretary General taking a massive interest in our work. He has launched a call to action on sanitation. He looks to us to provide a lot of the content to that, working with other partners and within the Sanitation and Water for All partnership. UNICEF provides intellectual leadership and the content to his call to action, and we're working very closely with his team, and I think that's testimony to how high the agenda has come both internally and externally. We also, the Sanitation and Water for All partnership itself is gearing up to help or facilitate country processes that lead up to the 2014, April 2014, the next high-level meeting, where again decision makers will sit down at the World Bank and make important decisions on WASH. And I think that the key thing about this is that we follow up on and maintain accountability for the commitments that countries have already made. And in that vein, the SWA partnership has released the monitoring report very recently that shows that whilst a fair amount of good progress has been made in countries, a lot more remains to be done. And we look to you in Ethiopia to lead or convene that dialogue that enables Ethiopia to not just come to a meeting. It's not about a meeting, but to make significant commitments and to deliver on those commitments and to monitor how they're doing against those. And then, of course, we have the post-2015 discourse and all of that, where there's positive news, at least for the moment, that the high-level panel has chosen water, sanitation and hygiene as one of their key goals, universal access to water, sanitation and hygiene as a proposed goal, and within that targets around drinking water and sanitation, including the elimination of open defecation. And all that has drawn on some of the work that we've done with WHO and the rest of the sector, as well as the thematic consultation that we co-led with UNDESA and with UN Water. So there's all that happening in the external environment that basically means that we are in an incredible position where there's a lot of political support for the work we do and a recognition for the work we do, and that recognition is translated into our strategic plan as well. And increasingly we are getting the confidence of donors. We've recently had a major partnership agreement with the Netherlands for Western Central Africa. Of course, you in the Asaro region, although not specifically Ethiopia, have benefited from that as well. And Ethiopia has as well directly and indirectly has benefited from our partnership with the Dutch. But that needs to continue as well. And we also have a recent agreement with the UK, the DFID, for a global partnership, global support for countries based on where we can achieve the best results. And we're in negotiation with other donors for similar thematic support to the Global WASH program. And this is in addition to the fundraising and the funds that are raised by countries in countries. So if we have the political support and the support of our own leadership, and we're increasingly having the funds, we really are running out of excuses. So the question is, can we do it? And I hope and believe that the answer is yes, that we can. And in that respect, I think the 5 shifts that I mentioned in the past are continue to be just as relevant. And just to recap, they're basically around improving our program quality, making sure that we get transformational change. So our programs provide direct results, but there are also the wider indirect results, the diffusion, the replication, the countries taking on the policies, that kind of change that leads to real results. That we work across sectors and that we provide support outcomes in other sectors around health, education, nutrition. Just now I've been to a meeting where the polio people are reaching out and recognizing the role that WASH plays within polio. We need to continue our leadership in emergencies. And finally, all knowledge management is an issue that we have to grapple with because it brings all these pieces together, and increasingly it is the thing that makes the difference, or what governments want from us. So going forwards, we we'll continue to lay a lot of emphasis on our people, because it's our people, that's you and your colleagues in countries, that make all the difference. And we need to make sure that the right people are in the right places, that they have the opportunities to progress and to go to where they want to go and where they can contribute most. And in that respect, you may have received the notice that we have advertised our generic vacancy announcement for P4 and P3 level, and the reason for that is to populate the talent groups at those levels with competent people, good people, both internal and external, that we can use and nurture through the system and help them to progress. So I really encourage you to look at that and to seriously consider participating if it applies to you, and if you feel that will help you in the system. But I am putting a lot of emphasis on the people management side, and the generic vacancy announcement is a big part of that, along with the coaching and mentoring that we started a little while ago. Partnerships are important, and that's partnerships to both leverage political capital and as well as to leverage programming results. And we will enter into different kinds of partnerships with different kinds of actors. So here at HQ level, for example, we've got a partnership with Unilever, a private sector company, to deliver results on sanitation across the world. We've got partnerships with networks, so like RWSN on sustainability, and we've got partnerships like I mentioned Sanitation and Water for All, that deliver at the political level, making sure we get the decision makers focusing in on water, sanitation and hygiene. I mentioned knowledge management, and just a little bit more on that, because I think evidence and knowledge will become the currency of the future, particularly as countries progress into middle income status. They want to know how to do things better. They don't necessarily need our money. And what we are doing now is to, amongst many other things, including the great training and webinars that we have, most recently on the Wash in Schools that is happening now, the social marketing that just finished, but I'm sure will continue in different forms, as well as what we would like is a partnership with the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine on just evidence, looking at making sure that we all know what good evidence, good and bad evidence is, and how we can manage research. So we're not all going to become researchers, but we're all going to understand the basics and be able to manage research programs, because increasingly there's more and more research and evaluation being done on our programming, because people know that that's the way to look at how to achieve results at scale. And the final point I just wanted to make was around measurement. I think it's really important, as we are doing in many countries, that we measure what we're doing. I know that many big programs have come up with third-party monitoring to look at the results that we're achieving and make sure that we're not just reporting results, but that what we're reporting and what we think we're doing is actually true. And it's really important to get that reality check. I was just in Nigeria, where I saw the system of local level monitoring from local government authorities that goes up the chain to Abuja. Similarly in DRC as well, where they use SMS technology to send the data up. It's really important that we know the results we're making, that we're achieving those at scale, and that we are sure about them. Because as we move up a gear, and as our programs are bigger and are achieving more, there's a lot more scrutiny on those results. And it's the way we learn as well. So for example, the CATS evaluation that we're undergoing at the moment, on our entire programming, CATS programming, it's not being done by us, it's being done by evaluation units. So there's a level of independence, there's an external reference group that advises us, And so what it means is that we will know what is good about our CATS programming, what kind of results we're achieving, and whether we're as good as we think we are, and if not, or even if we are, what other things we can do to make it all better. And I think it's important that we do all that in a spirit of openness. So we are open to evaluation, we're open to constructive criticism, because of all the work that you've done and what we've achieved, we really don't have anything to hide or be ashamed of, and we can learn, and we're willing to learn. So I think that's probably all I will say for the moment. I do want to reinforce the issues around that we are moving up a gear. That we're doing a building on the great work we're doing. There's a lot more expectation on us, and a lot more responsibility as a result. And it is really important that we work together as a team, country officers, regions, and headquarters, to deliver on this one global WASH program, on our strategic plan, targets, and indicators. And I'm sure that I'll get a chance to come and see the great work that you're doing in Ethiopia, and I'm sure that together we can all deliver on this huge agenda. So thank you again, and have a great meeting.